Wholeness. Welcome to my space, my place. This is Rashida Silvertree here. Um, and may this message find you well and whole. Whew. And by the time you get this video, it's late. We're entering into that space at night where you have to prepare for sleep. You have to prepare for rest. And but it's been such a full day, from just a very full day. I'm grateful for it. I've learned a lot. If anything, I think this is probably one of the most productive days I've had in a really long time. This video would have been up a little bit earlier, but I wanted to prioritize my grad studies, so that's what I did. I put my grad studies first, got that out of the way, and now I have time to make this video. So yeah, minimalism. Let's talk about it. Why this practice triggers others. Gasp. Is it a symptom of mental illness? Or am I going crazy? Am I losing my marbles? All right. So just to address indirectly, what I've caught wind of in the minimalism community is that it is, for some reason, and I'm going to actually put the links down of two individuals, two beautiful beings that I will, and I don't follow them habitually, but once in a blue moon for inspiration, or just to dive into their philosophy on why or how they do their minimalism practice. Two individuals. One goes by the name of Eco-Friendlia, and she is a German woman. And then the other one, I think, is based in the U.S. right now. I think she either lives in the West Coast, somewhere where it's warm. I believe she's still in the States, from my perspective. And her name, oh goodness, I'll put her link down below. Because I usually don't have a lot of time to watch videos. Anyway, I try to support their channel when I can. But I've noticed this kind of vibe, and listen here. I'm going to be very curt and blunt and slightly sarcastic in this message with you all. Keyboard warriors, bless you. I send good vibes to you. Keyboard warriors, the type that they will share how they feel about something. Usually it's on the side of negativity, and there's a lot of you. And I get those comments, and I leave them up. I don't take them down. I don't really care. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. This is a social, public platform. I put myself out there to a certain extent, and everyone else puts themselves out there. If you're the viewer, you're kind of protected because you can come up with any username, you can come up with any little icon picture, or not put anything up at all and have your username as 55522Julie, or you can just put you can create your facade, if you will. And I'm just a being. I have to be authentic, and if I can't be authentic, I'm not going to share anything, right? That's just how I vibe. That's how I roll. But yeah, let's get into the first part of the question. Why does this practice trigger other people? And here's my comment about the two other channels I've watched too throughout the years of my minimalism practice. It's this thing where people who are materialists, right, or they're active consumers. We live in a capitalist society where, and to some extent, minimalism or materialism doesn't matter. We're out spending money, right? We consume. It is programmed into, it's a societal practice. It is a cultural practice. It is embedded in our business and entrepreneurial systems, financial systems, right? We have Black Friday, we have sales, we have deals and percentages off. Like, it's just buy, spend, right? You need something, I got it, you buy it. that is the setup. Okay, there's pros and cons to a capitalist society. Consumerism, is just, it is what it is. It's what you make it, right? And my thing is, my philosophy is, if you are an active consumer, be aware, because consumerism can end up consuming you. So the vibe that I get when I make some of these videos, or I am, watching another platform that practices minimalism, um, you'll have people who actively practice materialism, or actively, they either they're a collector, or they, own so many acres of land, and they just have stuff, they acquire stuff in their life, right? And I'm not speaking to all my thank you to the viewers who are actively supportive. You know who you are, right? And I don't want to put you on blast, but you know who you are, and I thank you for your positivity, and I thank you. And even on top of this, you don't agree with me with, you explain why you take the time to do that, and I really respect that. I really respect that type of vibe. So thank you. But they get a little triggered. They get a little, like, it becomes like you. It's a you problem. What's wrong with you? There was one time, there was one video on one of the platforms that I'm going to put down below, and a comment was so nasty, like, there's something mentally wrong with you for living this way. Who doesn't have furniture? Who doesn't have tons of silverware? Who doesn't have another car? Who doesn't have a car at all? You weirdo. You psycho. What's wrong with you? And yes, there are human beings who do that, right? They're just there, okay? And my thing is, it is a practice that it either calls to you or it doesn't, right? And it kind of goes against the grain of what is normal, what is natural, especially for those who grew up in a very capitalist, westernized society, where we're just programmed to always want things, to always buy new shoes, to always buy new clothes, to always buy, because one day you'll die, and you only live once, so spend that last money, spend that paycheck on getting Christmas gifts, right? And it's when you go against the grain, you'll face resistance, right? And sometimes resistance will teach you a few things. When you're in the space of non-resistance, you allow things to flow, right? You just allow, I don't know if any of you have practiced Tai Chi, right? And it's just about flow. It's not about being on the defense or attacking. It's just allowing the energy, the opposing energy, to come to you and giving it space to move through, to move past you and around you. And when you're in the space of non-resistance, right, you're in the space of allowance. When you're in the space of resistance, meaning you've chosen something and then something is just wanting to block you, right, from moving forward. That's kind of what happens when you embody a different practice from the masses, okay? Like, there are cultures, outside of the Western world, especially in the Eastern Asian cultures, where minimalism is actually part of their lifestyle. It's very simple, right? Everything has a place and everything has a purpose in their space. And so their philosophy is very different compared to ours. So I'm sorry, I may be a little bit all over the place in this video, because I literally I'm operating on empty. I've been so busy all day, but I just wanted to kind of investigate this. A lot of the time when someone's doing something that is not deemed as normal, people label you as lost, unstable. You're going through a crisis. It's almost like when a woman shaves her head bald or cuts her hair, right? That's symbolic of her beauty and identity, and so she's relieving herself of all that pressure to be beautiful and to have this role of femininity, right? A defined femininity. And when she breaks free from that, they slap a label of crazy on her, like they did with Britney Spears, okay? Um, it's like when I cut my hair, I got that like, ooh, you're going through something. There's something wrong. And so when you're facing this, usually when people project their negativity or that resistance towards you, and it because you're not fitting into their mold, it's not you. It's it's a them problem, right? I don't usually take anything personal from that type of projectile stuff. It is what it is. I honor myself and I know myself, and I'm ever evolving, ever changing. And my minimalism practice gives me the space to do that comfortably. With all the other spiritual practices and um, my thought process and meditations and all these other things that I want to put more emphasis on, it'd be a lot harder for me if I were to embody just a stereotypical lifestyle as many of my other Western American, European, or wherever, that type of mentality just is an alignment for what I do and how I live. Um, this is just a unique part of myself, and my family is aware, like they're not, it doesn't freak them out. I just don't have many visitors over, right? Because it's just, I'm one that will go to the party. I don't host the parties. That's just my vibe. I just don't do that. That's not my thing. But yeah, I just want to shine light on it because it's very easy to label someone as lost or crazy or weird or confused when it doesn't make sense to you, and that's okay, right? Um, and so the other minimalists on YouTube, I mean, I've been doing this since the age of 12. Um, so I've been doing it much longer than it was ever a thing online. Um, and it's not a symptom of loss for me. It's not a symptom of something else going on in my life. It's just I feel safe enough to share my experiences, my ever evolving experiences with minimalism on this platform, because it's just nice to know I'm not the only one out there into this type of practice of non attachment and just being very, I guess, aware of why I have the things that I have. Like I do have things. As you'll see in the one channel below, one is extreme minimalism. I mean, like extreme. Like I don't, and it's then that's the thing. Like minimalism is something you make it yourself, right? It fits you. It fits your intention and your value and your principles in your life, and in that way fits her perfectly. For me, it would be kind of like, ooh, kind of a little bit too strict. And I love eco-friendly as way because she'll recycle certain items that she'll keep, and then others she will retire, meaning she'll just release and let go, and then she'll replace with another item. And that's, I think I'm very attracted to that because I constantly am always, I can't keep the same, like I'll do like an overhaul of my clothes. Like I've spent the most moving back east because of the temperature and because of the weather and the influx or the shifts in the seasons. And now that I'm also getting back into teaching, so it's like I have to have a certain standard of dress because I deal with a lot of different people, supervisors, managers, departments, I mean, parents, kids. Like you have to kind of present yourself in a way, and I present myself in a way that's professional, but it's also comfortable and it meets my needs and I feel pretty in it. But it's just this very simple way compared to when I lived out in the desert. I mean, I had my wardrobe down packed. It wasn't something I had to overthink. Everything flowed and it went I was spending the night somewhere, boom, boom, boom. Packing was super easy. And that's where I kind of want to get back into that flow of if someone said, hey, Rashida, there's this amazing opportunity, but we need you to drop everything and we need you to be here by in 2 days. It should take me 1 day to pack up my whole apartment. And it should take one trip to fill up my van, my current vehicle, and pack maybe one tub of my winter clothes, and one suitcase and be out of here. That's how I've traveled. That's how I've lived. I've had to learn, especially traveling all over Europe, how to pack, how to, you know, travel with things. And even with instruments, and being very picky on how, like how I travel with them. And do I have too many, chords? The power chords? Do I have too many of this? Do I have the right amp? Like, it's an ongoing process because of, you know, my current situation, and getting in career change and relationship changes and all that good stuff. But I just wanted to kind of like bring it up a little bit, because I've just noticed this, because there was a comment made, and I usually don't pay attention at all. I just kind of let them just fade out into the wherever they came from, to the digital ethers. But I noticed this in the minimalism platform of just, I don't know, it can be very nasty, and it's like, yo, you just think you're so much better than us, huh? Because you don't have anything. You sound like a confused mess. And I've noticed that on each minimalism channel, where people are just really like, what is wrong with you, right? Why don't you have things? So yeah, that's that. And as part of the second part of it, is this a symptom of mental illness? And that's something I take very, very seriously. I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in psych health. I've worked with people who've had OCD. And, even when I think of it and I think of my own upbringing, my dad was, I'm not going to say he has a little bit of clutter, but he's very particular about things. Like, your shoes have to be straight and you don't leave crumbs after you eat, And I was like only 3 or 4 years old, and he would like teach me how to eat with the knife and fork. And my mom, on the other hand, is just like, they're like night and day. My mom is just, she's an artist. She's a creative. She would carry a whole library of books with her every time we traveled, or moved or relocated. And we relocated a lot. I've been to 13 different schools, like I've mentioned several times already. So if you can only imagine, moving was a big deal growing up. And it was so overwhelming, that experience, that I just learned to pack less and focus more on quality, right? My father was always about quality over quantity, quality over quantity. My mom, on the other hand, was more about quantity over quality, right? Have the item that you need so you don't have to worry about it. My dad is more like, go without until you have the best of the best. And so I had to, my parents were separated, so I had to live with two different philosophies, as far as lifestyle and simplicity. And as I grew up, and entering into my preteens, I just kind of found my own way. And so now it's like I'm simplifying again. As I've mentioned, I have 13 plants, and I'm going to gift them away. I am giving some to my dad. I'm going to give a couple to friends and family. And just, there's one specific plant I've been wanting for such a long time, that I had in Arizona for 2 years, and it grew and grew and grew. And I didn't have many plants in my studio apartment at the time, but I think I have maybe 3 plants. But this plant was such a significant part of my space that just brought good energy and just made me feel at home. So yeah, that's just kind of like, I wanted to share, or just dive a little bit more into my lifestyle choice and why I would do this. And no, I don't take offense to negative comments, because it's just how I choose to live. I'm not hurting anybody. You know, it'd be something if I had a partner, it'd be something if I had kids or sharing a space with somebody, but I'm not. And, you know, so yeah, I send love to that individual. Good vibes, you know. But yeah, so that's all. May this message find you well and whole. I gotta continue to wind down for the night. I am spent, but it was a great, productive day. And yeah, I'm still settling into my new apartment and becoming very choosy in what I want in it and the things I want to let go of. And from simplifying my wardrobe to simplifying the plants that I have, the type of furniture that I have. I mean, and I know I told you I wouldn't share my space, which I'm still on the fence about because it is my sanctuary, my space, my home. But I feel like I mentioned before, the more I feel at home within myself, it becomes less of a threat. You know, I feel like if I'm not centered within myself, and if I don't feel at home with myself, then of course I don't want to share my space with anybody. I don't want to put myself out there. And that's natural. It's a natural, instinctive thing to do, to put up boundaries when you are still healing. And especially if you have a lot of home trauma like break-ins or violence at home or your valuables being stolen or broken. There's a lot of reasons why people hold on to the things that they hold on to, and I don't shame anybody that chooses to live this way, that chooses to collect items that are meaningful or purposeful, or you just hold on to it because it's sentimental and it triggers good memories for you. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm never, ever, for those of you who take the time to respond to my messages, I will never look down on you and make you feel small for having the things that you have and that brings you joy and that sustains you and that centers you and that makes you feel at home with you. To me, whatever viewer, my dear people who are watching this, like whatever brings you joy, connect with that. I support that. Okay. um and mental health is important, and being content and happy is important, and that's part of your mental health. So be very careful to not try to compare yourself to minimalists, right? Oh, they're much better than me or well off or in some capacity because look, they don't have to be attached to anything, right? Or vice versa for those people that look at how much stuff they have and it's so elaborate and so pretty. Look at the personality that's in their apartment, their home. We're constantly comparing and contrasting ourselves, and that's one thing I will also bring up in this minimalism series as well. That we need to check that because that can mess with the mental health. Okay. So yeah, so may you find this message well and whole. May it find you, and have a good night. I'm going to rest. I'm going to take a nice hot shower and rest and rejuvenate for tomorrow. Oh wow, full day. All right, wholeness. Goodbye.